Well, hello there, listener. My name is Matthew Renfro, host of The Fro Show, and you're listening to another great Four-Eyed Radio product. For more shows, check out foureyedradio.com.
Starfleet Escape Podcast. Prepare for launch in 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome to the Starfleet Escape Podcast, here on the Four-Eyed Radio Network, where we escape into the Star Trek universe. This is episode number 48 and is being recorded on October 3rd, 2014. Today's topic, The Hatch. I'm Aaron.
I'm Marty.
This episode is brought to you by Raven Designs, illustration and design that fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, visit ravencruise.com. How are you today, Marty?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Welcome back on the show. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
So this episode will be somewhat of a different format than other episodes. Like I said at the top, today's episode is The Hatch, and what it will be is just kind of like a roundtable discussion about random Star Trek stuff. So I hope you enjoy it. Marty?
Yes?
We talked a little bit before we started recording the show.
Yes, I like to talk.
And we talked about certain film rumor.
Yes, and that certain film rumor is one that I've been waiting for a few years here.
Is it? Would you
Yes.
like to enlighten us?
Supposedly, it's been confirmed by William Shatner. No, it's been confirmed that he was approached about it.
Okay, yes.
Not that
Yes.
he is in it, but that
Right.
he was approached about doing the third in the series of the new Star Trek movies. Which I don't know how you would do that, because supposedly Kirk is dead in anything that we were a part of before.
Right.
And even if it's at the same time period, how do you use the old guy with the young guy?
Mm-hmm.
It just, unless they do time travel again. If
Right.
you remember, when they first were coming out with the first movie,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this was true, but I heard rumors that originally it was supposed to be written in that at the end of the movie, when Spock says, what was it, thrusters on full? You know, when it's
Right.
old
Yeah.
Spock, and he says that, and then they shoot the ship. Originally, it was supposed to be a recording from Jim Kirk from the original timeline, which would make no sense either.
I heard it was like a little
Hollow
holographic
recording, yeah.
thing that the older Spock carried with him.
Yeah, and that's how they were going to have Kirk in it, the original William Shatner Kirk in it.
Mm-hmm.
What doesn't make any sense is Kirk 1 died well before this. Well
Right,
before
in the
Spock
Prime
in the Prime
Universe.
Universe.
Prime Universe timeline, yep.
Yeah. 2, would Spock have brought that with him on the journey that he was on? You know, what was the likelihood that he'd have that with him?
Right.
And 3, what does it really have to do with it? Of course, I could go back. I watched the movie the other day, and the part where Spock was marooned on the ice planet, what was it, Vega? Delta Vega?
Yes, Delta Vega.
I did a little research. Delta Vega is nowhere near Vulcan.
I know. That's where they were going to maroon Mitchell.
Yeah. But it wasn't a frozen planet either, was it?
No, it wasn't.
No, it was a
It
regular,
was,
yeah.
it was unmanned mining station.
Yeah. Which it kind of was, but it's frozen in that time period. Maybe because of things being changed, who knows? You change one thing in history and it can change a lot of other things. But
Right, I just think it's probably a planet with the same name.
It could be. I mean, there are cities with the same name in different countries. However, I find it very coincidental. Anyways, getting back to Star Trek 3, which is saying, sometime in 2016, I believe is what they said. It's going to be in between JJ's Star Wars movies, which works out pretty well.
The filming. Yeah, the actual
at least
movies.
to him. But, now that the type of movie is made, Abrams has kind of made the template for it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to be involved as much. A lot of his underlings and people like that can do the tapings, just like saying Gene Roddenberry not involved in most of the movies themselves.
Mm-hmm.
He was involved in the first one, I think the second one, and then he kind of pulled away. So, other than being a consultant.
Right.
So anyways, yes, William Shatner has confirmed that he may be in the movie.
Right.
Which,
So
that's like saying, I've confirmed that 50% chance.
right.
There's only a 10% chance of that.
So it has to be something worthwhile for him, because he isn't going to make like a small cameo role, just like what would have been in the first JJ movie, something not worthy of the Shatner.
The Shatner, yeah. Well, one of the things is maybe not, because maybe now Shatner knows, you've been snubbed for the first 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm sure that JJ could create something without Shatner. He could.
Yeah.
But now Shatner's kind of on the defensive end, so I'm sure he'd take whatever he gives him.
And it's also coming up on the 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the movie will be released, hopefully, for the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. So I'm sure that's in the back of his mind, too. He wants to be a part of the 50th anniversary.
Because there might not be many more chances.
Yeah,
Shatner's
exactly.
80 years old.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying because there won't be any more Star Trek movies or TV shows. I'm saying because Shatner has a shelf life.
Right.
And so does his toupee. So,
right.
But anyways, yeah, I want, what I would love is to have both Prime Spock and Prime Kirk in it.
So both from our time, both
Yeah.
from the Prime timeline in the alternate universe.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's run with this for a second, right? If it's the Prime timeline,
Yeah.
could it be Kirk, who is still trapped in the Nexus?
Trying to change things back.
The Nexus is probably trans-dimensional, right?
Hey, just because it likes to wear different clothes.
It probably exists on the same dimensional plane
Yeah.
in multiple universes.
The Nexus is a tranny. Okay, so
So
basically, yeah, it could happen. Now,
could.
here's the thing. You know the whole thing about the Bible. If they don't have a way, they'll write a way to do it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's the whole beauty of sci-fi.
Yeah. So, I mean, if that happens, that would be very interesting if they could write that in. One thing that I was thinking about is that it's not the Prime Kirk. It's
an alternate Kirk.
It's the alternate universe Kirk.
As an older man.
As an older man.
That could be possible, and they could change his character a little bit to act more like Chris Pine.
Yeah. Or another possibility is that this is maybe a mind meld scene.
Mm-hmm.
The Prime Spock is melding with someone and showing him, or showing
Kirk.
that person an event
In which Kirk was involved.
Kirk was involved.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if you read, I've been reading some things, I've been searching for this stuff online, and I know not all of it is true, but one of the things I found was that they want to make the third movie more like an episode from the original series.
Okay.
Which is kind of counterintuitive to what the other two were.
Mm-hmm.
But what I could see happening is somebody mentioned 2 different types of aliens that maybe they would do. One was the Gorn.
The Gorn, okay.
Because they keep on mentioning them.
Right, and we saw them in the video game.
Yep. But they could do something now that would be pretty impressive.
Right.
They also talked about doing the whole story with Decker's father.
Oh, with like the Doomsday Machine kind
the
of thing?
Constellation, yeah. Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
Which, by the way, the Doomsday Machine is kind of like, and I never noticed this before, but kind of like V'ger.
Well, I think
it creates
they're
a similar situation.
Similar situations, but they're opposites, I would...
Yeah. One's trying to actually connect with people, the other one's trying to destroy everything.
Right, well, yeah, the Doomsday Machine's just destroying, and V'ger's...
There was no benevolence to it.
...is assimilating all this information.
Wait a minute. Let's not use that word, because we can't put it with the board.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one thing. So, did you see this Volkswagen commercial with Shatner and Leonard Nimoy?
Well, no, I haven't.
It's cool. It's Volkswagen, and it's in German.
Let me just look it up on my Google. Ah, yes. Oh, and look, Shatner's in yellow, and Nimoy's in blue.
Ah.
So it's in German?
Yes, it's in German.
Do they know how to speak German?
I suppose they were taught certain phrases if they didn't.
Or they were dubbed.
or they were dubbed. So it starts, for those who haven't seen it, is this little kid playing with a little model Enterprise. Across the street, guess who's moving in? William Shatner. And the kid's like, Captain Kirk. The kid runs back into his room. It's decked out in Star Trek. There's ships, action figures everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The kid comes back out in his Command Yellow tunic, goes back over to Shatner's. All of a sudden, the garage door opens, and there's this Volkswagen there. It's like a shuttlecraft, and then the kid's suddenly in the car with Shatner. They're talking in German. I don't know what's going on. And then as they're driving off to whatever's going to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
pulling up alongside is Leonard Nimoy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a good little commercial. I don't know if we'll see it on American TV. But if it was, I don't know if it was dubbed. It didn't look dubbed. It could have been.
Dubben Sie.
Exactly. Well, you know some German.
I do, but I'm a little rusty, and
Yeah, it was a while ago that you were taking that.
yeah, that was back in my first college days.
Yeah, like back in the 1700s.
Yeah, 1998, 99.
It's a long time ago.
Yes, it is.
Back when I was still in high school.
You were a young man.
Young man. Didn't have quite as much facial hair as we do now. What's that?
I said you weren't old and about to die.
Now I'm going downhill. But anyway, so do you think it's a good idea that Shatner is in it? Or do you think the ship has sailed, he shouldn't be in it, it will make the movie terrible, and they're just trying to force him in?
Yeah, I don't think they're trying to force him. I think he wants to. They could go either way. If they do it like shoddy like they have in the past, it could be bad.
with Leonard Nimoy, or just in general?
Just in particular.
Okay.
You know, like by Insurrection.
Insurrection.
Yeah, they're kind of
just like
movies.
a bad movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. I don't know. I was reading an article where the new Sulu Cho, is that right?
Yeah.
He said that it will be very difficult.
Puma. Yes.
Harold.
Harold. Sorry, I thought it was Puma.
It'll be very difficult to reunite the cast for a fourth movie. So this might be it.
For a fourth movie? Why does he say that? He doesn't even know what's going to be going on in 2 years, let alone 4 or 5.
Well, think of it like this: their careers are, rocketing off.
No, they're not.
They're.
What is he going to do? Harold and Kumar?
No, I'm not saying
Star
just
Trek,
him. I'm not saying just him.
Chris Pine will keep doing it as long as he's like Shatner. He'll keep doing it as long as it pays well and it makes him the star.
Well, we have Zoe, who has a great career. Quinto is doing a bunch of different things.
I guess.
So if you can't get the new Spock in the movie, you're not going to have a movie.
Well, no, you could always go with that Phase 2 idea. Explore that, where Kirk keeps going, or whatever.
And we have a new first officer.
Gone, yeah. Only this time Spock doesn't come back. You can do almost anything.
I suppose, but I think it would be very difficult to have a TOS-based movie with Kirk without Spock there.
Oh, they almost did. The first one is the birth child of that.
Well, yeah, but he came. He's
He
there.
came back, yes, he came back, but
I mean, would it have been as good as a movie without him?
I don't know. Because at the time, it was great, but there wasn't really the history. There was only a history of 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. But he was there since the inception of Star Trek. He was in.
I'm just giving you some ideas that you could do.
No, I completely agree.
You could also, anything could end up happening. I think when they did the whole backwards version of 2, now I like 2, don't get me wrong, I think it's really good.
Into Darkness.
I think that the effects are really cool. The things that they came up with to make it different than the original Wrath of Khan was great.
Uh-huh.
But I think Abrams kind of violated his own rule about copying the original. I didn't like the fact that it was reversed at the end. The part I really had a problem with was the part at the end in the reactor core.
Where Kirk dies.
Yeah. And Spock does the exact opposite of what Kirk did in the original movie.
Yeah, well, Kirk kind of just took it and then Spock went all emotional, which is uncharacteristic. But this is a younger Spock. Actually, rewatched the death scenes because I'm a morbid person.
The death scenes of who?
Of Spock and Kirk.
And they're so eerily alike because they are the same.
Well, because they were trying to mimic it, which was a bad thing.
Without copying it.
Yeah.
Quinto couldn't do the voice that Shatner could, though.
What, the Khan?
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was a little bit over the top myself.
Well, first of all, Kirk doesn't do that in that scene.
No, he doesn't, but where would you have put it? You could have put it somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah, because what's-his-name really didn't do the same. He didn't have that. It wasn't the same character.
No, it wasn't.
Khan from the original. This was a terrorist Khan that actually had a good side to him.
Well, you could say the same thing about the original Khan having or appearing to have a good side.
I guess. I mean, but the original Khan would have never helped Kirk. But then again, this Khan was, 15 years before? Or 10 years before. He hadn't been marooned by Kirk.
Yeah, very true. I feel as though they should have mirrored the episode more than the movie, if that makes sense. The
original episode.
Yes, Space Seed. I feel like they should have. I would have loved to have seen
Space Sticker Seed. What?
The Botany Bay.
Yes, but part of the problem, I would have rather had that, and he used that ship.
Yeah, I would have liked.
See, the Vengeance was just too much.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you.
Although I think it's great. It's way too advanced. It's way too early for that type of a mechanism. And, certain weapons hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah, it's completely over the top, the Vengeance. Dreadnought class. One of the things that the fact
that they even used the word Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Because that was originally a thought-up design that they never did in any of the original series.
I feel like it violated what the ship naming schemes usually go with. Usually the first ship of a class is the name. Well, the first ship of the class
is the
name of the class.
Actually, the name of the first ship is the name of the class. It's actually the class that gives the ship the name.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Not the other way around. But the Vengeance, it was supposed to be totally different. One, it was black. There was no serial numbers on it. No insignia. It had weapons. First of all, they never even used the weapon. We don't know what that weapon would have done. Was it a laser? Was it, a particle beam? Was it, but that would have been cool to see what that laser did. Unfortunately, it probably would have destroyed the Enterprise.
Right. So, I mean, I would have liked to have seen a Enterprise going out there, exploring, and stumbling upon the Botany Bay. Or not even. It didn't even have to be the Enterprise that stumbled upon it first.
They should have shown that in the beginning.
Yeah, it could have been a separate ship that stumbled upon it.
And just like a snippet at the beginning.
And, well, what could have happened is, Khan's revived, and then Khan takes over the other ship. And then, almost like the Space Miranda Seed. Class in...
Like Space Seed, yeah.
No. More like... Well, yeah, in Space Seed, they commandeered the Enterprise a little bit. But I mean more like succeeding like they did in The Wrath of Khan. And, piloting the ship and going out and doing whatever. Obviously, they wouldn't have that Vengeance.
Kirk. Yeah, there's no Kirk.
But Kirk could have been out there. I mean...
If you notice, also, and I didn't realize this until just the second, do you realize the part of Kirk and Khan are actually reversed in that movie?
In which movie? What do you mean?
Into Darkness.
Uh-huh.
Kirk's the one that wants vengeance.
He wants vengeance
against
upon Khan for killing Pike.
Yes, but think about the Wrath of Khan movie. He wanted to kill Kirk because he had stolen something away from him. Freedom, basically. So instead of you can almost think of it as a protagonist that's actually fulfilling the role of the antagonist in the original movie. Because he's the one that goes after him.
Right.
remember the whole in the Wrath of Khan felt that Kirk had done him wrong and that he was wrongly justified in doing it. In this one, Kirk felt that Khan had done him wrong.
Right.
So he went after him. But yeah, it was kind of just a flip-flop.
Yeah.
I love the movie, don't get me wrong. The effects were amazing. The ship, the Dreadnought ship, the Vengeance was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And they built it without anybody knowing.
And a moon around Jupiter. I mean, that would have taken a while to build. I mean,
it sounds like what's his name there? Marcus
yeah.
was building it for quite some time.
Possibly, but I mean,
think he was building it even before he found Khan.
Well, Khan helped design the Vengeance.
Maybe. I guess he says that, but I think that what's his name felt that the Klingons were the next big.
Well, he wanted to bring them in so that he could militarize Starfleet, essentially.
And are we sure that this alternate universe only exists because of, or was it different to begin?
See, good point. I've been saying this for years.
That it's not the same.
2009.
Yeah.
That this universe was a different universe to begin with.
And Spock just jumped over from one universe to another.
Yeah, and in a different time.
Yeah.
So everything, I mean, because, come on, I mean, the Kelvin.
Yeah.
Look at the Kelvin. There's no way that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love
they should have had something that looked like a, what do you call it, class? The round ball in the front.
Oh, the Daedalus class.
That's what they should have had.
Yeah, but I like, I mean, the Kelvin works, it's just too big.
And too soon.
And the screen, the view screen.
Mm-hmm. You noticed that too, huh?
It's the view screen, it's the window.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with the new Enterprise.
With stuff on it.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't see that in Enterprise, the TV show.
No, it was just a view screen.
Yeah, it was just a view screen like every view screen in every series except for First Contact, where they have a holographic.
Which it was a holographic screen. But here's the thing, though. I still don't know if it was a holographic screen or it was just something, the hologram was the thing covering it.
I don't know. Well, I remember reading it was a holographic projection.
Yeah.
So, like, when they turn it off, and it's just a wall, which kind of would be weird. See, right there, they should have a window. If you're going to have a holographic
but see, if you
screen,
have a window, what you got to realize is if you're building ships for militaristic reasons,
mm-hmm.
even on the warships that we have now, if you notice, we used to have huge windows at the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that anymore.
Mm.
They do it from view screens. There are small holes, but it's not like. Have you seen those stealth destroyers they have now?
I haven't looked
One's
at
the
the
New York.
designs.
Look it up online when you do. They're stealth. They look like stealth planes.
Right.
They can't be hit by radar. But the windows on the bridge are very small because they're not.
Yeah, that
it would
makes
be
sense.
It would be a weak point if you shoot a weapon there and you wanted to take out the whole ship. Shoot at the bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know why people don't do that. Just shoot at the bridge and take everybody out.
Yeah.
And most of the command actually in the ship, if you watch movies from it, is actually in the center of the ship now. The weapons are all controlled in the middle. The navigation's controlled in the middle. It's kind of like a battle bridge.
I see.
And there are no windows in that.
Yeah. Well, that only makes sense. I mean, we have auxiliary control, which we have in the original series, which is basically a secondary bridge.
Isn't that done in engineering?
It's not in engineering. It's a separate
section
or separate room.
Yeah. You're kidding me. This isn't real?
No, yeah. Which we seen in, I believe we see it in Space Seed, but we also we saw it in the recent Star Trek Continues episode. They had auxiliary control, and from our last interview with the Farragut crew, they're going to be using that auxiliary control set.
Why don't you just call it aux? Control.
Yeah, aux control. I think that's what the little plaque says.
Backup control. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you notice, they also have that, they just updated it in the Next Generation. The battle bridge is just auxiliary. They could control the whole ship from that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a shame we only saw it a few times. I liked the design of the battle bridge.
You know what it reminded me of? It was like if they took Miranda class and put the consoles from the Galaxy class in that. It's much smaller. There's only one chair instead of the three. Mm-hmm. That's the way it should be. Only one chair.
Yeah. Instead of having
3 chairs.
Yeah. Well,
or in Voyager where you have the bench. Let's just sit down on a bench.
Yeah, I never liked Voyager's bridge.
And they were also like, first of all, you have to have a captain, right? There's always one person in control, right? Why would you have 2 equally separated? You know what I mean?
Right. Because in other designs of bridges that we've seen, a center captain's chair, and then off to the side, we have like a next-gen kind of console where the executive officer sat. I mean, it's awkward, but it makes sense. And on the other side,
you have a counselor. Wait a minute.
Yeah, let's put the counselor on the bridge instead of having her console.
Well, you remember, we've gone over this. Originally, she wasn't portrayed as just the counselor. She had a uniform on, had actual duty, and men wore skirts. And
I mean, she's a Starfleet officer. She has a rank. She acts more like a advisor to the captain,
like a cruise ship director.
Yeah. Well, you remember I think you have the same book that I have, The Art of Star Trek.
The original design was supposed to be like a cruise ship, and it has a couch.
Yeah,
remember the design? It was round like this and had the couch, and then on the back of it was the wishbone.
It's very comfortable. It was huge. That bridge was huge, and like a huge wraparound screen in the front. I believe there were like multiple levels. I mean, we kind of have. I mean, the Enterprise D bridge, from what I'm told, is a lot bigger than what it appears on screen.
Yes.
Because we have that ramp, so it's basically a second level where we have that ramp.
Do you remember in All Good Things, Crusher's medical ship?
Right, the Pasteur.
She had multiple levels.
Yes.
There were 2 people behind her. There was her, and then there was a cons in front of her that was down lower.
Yeah. That was an interesting design. Very clunky.
It was an updated version of the Daedalus.
Yeah, like the ship in general. I like the ship in general, the design. Yeah. I wish we see more spherical primary hulls in Starfleet.
You would think in that design, what I would like to have seen is inside the ship, is it more designed like a hospital, or is it like the other ships, you know?
Right. Well, it's very bright and very clean.
Mm-hmm. I would hope so.
And it looks sterile, like it looks like a medical ship.
You don't want to get Ebola on that ship.
Well, hopefully it's eradicated by the 24th century.
I doubt it. But yeah, the one thing I did like about that's why we're in a flux. All these ships are so different. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they would ever be this different. But like if one Starfleet was creating it. Think about this. If you look at the Enterprise...
which one?
Next Generation.
Okay. Galaxy class.
And then you look at some of the other clunkers they made at the same time. Like the...
We have the Nebula.
Yeah.
Which, I like the Nebula.
The Nebula is a Miranda-class version of
the Galaxy class.
The Galaxy class.
Yeah. Which makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me that they would do this.
Yeah.
I like the design of the Nebula class. You don't really see too many.
No, the Farragut's the only one you see in Generations.
Wait, what?
Star Trek Generations.
Of a Nebula?
Yeah, there's Farragut's a Nebula.
Oh, no, I mean like other designs.
Oh, yeah.
Other designs. Because we see a bunch of Excelsior-class starships.
Have you noticed that in the Next Generation there's a ton of Excelsior?
Yeah. I mean, the Excelsior-class starship is a beautiful ship, one of my favorite ship designs. And it's apparently better than the Constitution.
60 years? Yeah. Do you think it would have lasted 60 years?
I think they would have issued new Excelsior-class ships to be built.
Like updated.
Yeah.
There are a few Mirandas left around.
Why mess with what works? There are a few Mirandas. I don't think they would have issued those.
You remember in Deep Space Nine when they showed the Armada when they were fighting the war?
Yeah.
There were tons of different ships.
Yeah, I don't think there was one Constitution-class starship, though.
Yeah, there was.
Was there?
Yeah. In fact, if you look at, and I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure this is what it said, there are actually some original series ships in there, too, that they split in. You just don't see them as well.
Yeah.
It's like they took everything out of mothballs.
Right.
They probably took the original Enterprise out.
The original was destroyed.
Well, no. The A, I mean.
Oh, the A.
Sorry, the A.
Well, it's a different ship.
The Yorktown.
Right. Well, it is still the Enterprise.
I know.
Let's see. What else? What else do we have? We see an Orbis class.
Some Ambassador class. They had a couple of those.
Right. Well, I remember seeing at least one. The Enterprise C. What else do we have? Not much variety.
I don't think they had a lot of. They didn't have a lot of classes when Next Generation was around.
Right. Well, they said just like in the original series, they have different ships. Presumably, there would be multiple classes. They wouldn't all be the same class ship. That would be crazy. Because the Galaxy class starship, there was only supposed to be 5 originally, but the Yamato was destroyed.
Yes, the Yamato is not a Galaxy class starship.
It is. It's just modified.
It's a prototype.
That doesn't mean it's not a Galaxy class starship.
No, it was built before the ship that took the class name. Galaxy.
I will agree to disagree with you on that.
I remember hearing that it was a prototype. It wasn't exactly the same.
No, there was. That was one of the reasons why the Enterprise crew was so concerned, was because the same flaw that was in the Yamato might have been in. They weren't sure what was going on. Mm-hmm. They thought maybe it was a design flaw that carried on into the Galaxy class ship lineage, and they're destroyed. Maybe we're going to get destroyed.
Well, you are sitting on 7 million tons of explosives, so... I mean, at the heart of the thing, it's just a huge weapon.
We have a huge warp core.
Mine's bigger than most.
So, the thing I like about these episodes is that we have very multiple, very random tangents. Mm-hmm. So one thing I kind of want to run back around to is Star Trek 2016. What do you think would be a good movie? A good plot for the next Star Trek movie? For the big 50th anniversary. It has to be something big.
I know you're not going to like this, but reintroduce... This won't happen, but this is my thought. Reintroduce the Borg.
The Borg.
See, I know it's early, but again, it's a different, what do you call it?
A different timeline.
At least, if not a different dimension.
Right.
They could be there sooner than they were in the Prime.
Oh, no, without question. And if Starfleet was reaching out, exploring further than they were, because they needed to find new technologies, what have you, because of the threat from Nero.
Or Klingons, or...
Then, yeah, maybe they reached the Delta Quadrant. Who knows, right? Because their ships seem incredibly fast. Mm-hmm. Too fast, for my taste, but that's beside the point.
And, by the way, they can go in the ocean.
Yeah, yes, they
I don't get that. A ship that's made for space, yes, it'll be airtight. But it's different physics when you get into water.
Yeah, I mean, different mediums, man. It's.
Although that was a cool scene where it came up out of the water.
Yeah, it was a great visual. That's the only reason why it was in the movie.
Yeah.
If it didn't look cool, it wouldn't have been in.
I don't think they would have started it on that planet. But see, that they did right. It started like an episode.
Right.
That actually was like an episode.
Which I liked. That was good. So with the Borg,
An earlier form of them.
okay, an earlier form.
Yeah, a different form almost. Where they...
What if,
Yeah,
running kind of along the same theme,
yeah.
it's not the Borg, but they meet the mechanical living beings that found V'ger?
Could do that too.
Because I'm not 100% convinced that the Borg had anything to do with V'ger.
And I am. See,
And
we
you
differ
are.
on that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because
But either way, you could use it. You could
Yeah.
use that either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's ever explored that planet. Nobody's ever found it. Even being in the Delta Quadrant, you would have thought that Voyager would have found it.
Right, and I mean, they didn't say where it came from.
Or did the Borg maybe assimilate that, and that's how they became...
Oh, the Borg
Recognized.
assimilated them. Interesting.
Because maybe they were more biological, and they originally assimilated biologically, but then they assimilated the mechanism. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, they used to incubate babies too. Remember?
Yeah, no,
Original
I
series?
remember.
Originals, first 2 episodes they introduced them. They showed incubators for babies.
Yeah, with the implants already on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do they reconcile that one?
Well, I mean, they don't really have to.
You could do both.
Actually, an interesting conversation I was having online on Twitter. We were talking about Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah.
Now, he has a Star Trek Voyager podcast. I believe it's called To the Journey. It's on Trek FM. And I'm not a Voyager fan. I know you're not a Voyager fan. Eric's not here to defend Star Trek Voyager, so
No.
we haven't had one of those conversations in a while. The conversation we had, actually, let me see if I can pull it up. So, my tweet was, TNG and Voyager were the only 2 series not to examine the mirror universe. I suppose they did examine alternate realities, though.
Yes.
So the response from @TheInsaneRobin says, fans like to call Living Witness the Voyager Mirror Universe episode, but it's a shame they never did it officially.
I don't remember that one.
It's Voyager. I don't remember it either. So I said, the Mirror Universe would be hard for Voyager, unless it had the Borg as good guys that helped them defeat our Borg.
The Mirror Universe for Voyager, first of all, Voyager wouldn't be in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't be, but our Voyager is in the Delta Quadrant. If it passes through to an alternate dimension into the Mirror Universe, it would still be in the Delta Quadrant, even though...
Just no Voyager.
Just no Voyager.
Yeah, no Starfleet crew.
Right. Well, Starfleet...
Borg could be good guys.
Right.
You could examine more of the 8472 thing. Maybe they've taken over more of that quadrant than a fluidic space, you know? Maybe that. Maybe the Kazon will actually have a real character. Maybe the Caretaker.
The Caretaker, yes.
Maybe there'd be a different spin on the Caretaker.
Yeah.
Because that was never really examined at all. A couple episodes, but that was it. It was left
Right. The
He
Caretaker...
died.
Yeah, he died. It was just a mechanism to get them into...
Well, yeah, that's...
Delta
Yeah.
Quadrant.
Much like a lot of people think that the first episode of TNG is really not very TNG-like.
Well, that's because it was two episodes crammed together.
Who else is in the Delta Quadrant that's input? What do you call the ones that do the harvesting?
Oh, them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get their name.
You could also do remember the Year of Hell?
Yeah.
You could do an opposite on that. You could do. There actually were a lot of good not options, but opportunities. But I think they missed out on a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Beyond that, I mean,
and the next generation doing a mirror universe, theoretically, you kind of saw what it would have been like anyways because you saw it in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, but if the mirror universe was examined in the next generation before Deep Space Nine did, I think it would have been totally different.
Really?
I think the Terran Empire would still be going strong. I think it would have been more like we see in yesterday's Enterprise, but it's more brutal.
It would have been, yes. I think you're right about that. I think one of the things that yesterday's Enterprise kind of showed to me was that fact that it wasn't science anymore. It was all military.
Right. I mean, war is hell.
And whatchamacallit, Worf isn't even a Starfleet officer.
Right, you wouldn't be able to. They're at war with the Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly having the Borg in a future movie in the JJ verse is something that you would like to see.
The other thing is if we're wrong, and it's the same universe, but it's messed up because of that time travel. Okay.
Right. Yep.
Then Enterprise existed, and the Borg were in the past, and they did get that message out.
Right. Well, we know that the NX class existed because we see it as a model.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same.
Right, with Marcus.
Yeah. I think if that's the truth, then the Borg may be coming faster than they would have, and you could put them into the third movie because of that.
You could. I'm not sold on having the Borg in it.
Imagine earlier versions of the Borg. Wonder what they would look like.
Well, I don't think they would...
Brown jumpsuits and pieces of car parts all over them.
I don't think they'll go back.
The next generation version?
Yeah, to the next gen version.
Well, no, I don't think they'll be exactly the same because they won't be as advanced.
Or how could you make them look less advanced? The skin tone? I mean...
No, you can put less machinery on them, but they still have the same ends.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing you could do is not have the nanites.
Mm-hmm. Because that's how you could explain that.
Right. But it looks like they kind of retcon that in First Contact, because you have that... when we see Picard as Locutus in that flashback scene, he's...
Yeah, the thing pops out of his face.
Yeah, and that thing pops out of his face.
They did make him newer, but he wasn't totally like an updated Borg.
No, he was updated enough.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that could be... It could also be something to do with the Klingons. Because they really just brought them in for a minute there in the second one.
Right.
You know there's something brewing there, because they're even different.
Yeah.
They're more... If the Klingons can be any more militaristic, they're more militaristic.
Yeah.
They instead of reminding me of what they were supposed to be, which was the Russians, right? No, which ones were the Russians were the Klingons, and the East Germans were the Romulans, and the West Germans were the Vulcans. That's the whole. If you take it, I think that the new Klingons that we saw in this movie look more like the North Koreans or the Vietnamese, much more militaristic.
I mean, I don't know if they had a...
I didn't like the whole design, though.
It looked alright. I don't know if they had a specific kind of current-day faction that they modeled them after.
Well, actually, I read that somewhere, and I don't remember what it was, a long time ago, that was supposed to be the way it was. That theoretically, NATO or the UN was supposed to be like Federation.
No, I mean the updated Klingons.
Oh, the updated Klingons?
Yeah.
I just think their machinery looks... I didn't like how the Birds of Prey came out.
They are very different than what we're used to.
They look like tanks.
They don't have the elongated neck.
They look like a bat. But I can see them being a faction in this new movie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Cardassians.
Oh, interesting. Bringing them in. That would be very early to bring them in, but why not? Sure. I would like to see... So they're out there in space. People have been saying they want something new. They want something different. They want new aliens.
So they could come up with something new, yeah.
So something new.
An enemy.
New enemy, because they're supposed to be well into their 5 years by the time this movie comes out.
How about the ones we don't see very much of? What's the ones that are inside those suits?
The Breen?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. I don't know.
It's not new, but we haven't seen much of them.
Right. I don't know. I mean, we could I'm trying to think of something that would work with incorporating an older Kirk into it. It just escapes me.
Well, that's going to be the trick.
Yeah.
Is getting him in, making it relevant not only to the new generation but him, like they did with Spock.
Right. Here's something else. If the next generation could have another movie,
Mm-hmm.
what would you want that movie to be about?
It's a difficult one. I always thought that they left things way too far open in Nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see what happened with Data, well, B9, B4, whatever the hell his name is. I'd like to see what happens with Picard's new crew,
Mm-hmm.
although you still got some of the old ones.
Right.
I'd like to see the Titan involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think a movie where they have all of the casts together. You
Like,
do this big story where it's involving all of Starfleet at that time. So you have the Voyager crew involved, you have Deep Space Nine, you've got Next Generation. What else? You could have other things that were involved at that time.
Mhm.
Section 31. Whatever.
Interesting. That would be
I think big because we've never seen them all together.
right. I mean, that would work. I feel like that would work as like maybe a mini-series.
Well, I think that's what they should do if they bring back Next Generation. Is do some kind of a miniseries.
Yeah, I would.
It has to be a big story, though.
Right. I've always wanted to see Q in a movie.
Well, there's one for you. What if they brought Q into new J.J. Abrams?
It could work.
Theoretically, if he's omnipotent like he says he is, he's everywhere.
Right.
He's not just our universe, but all universes.
Right.
So he could get involved in that. I'm surprised nobody's ever done that before.
Yeah, that would be
Because theoretically, he could actually be involved in back when they had Enterprise.
Yeah, he's everywhere. I don't think I would want to have seen him in Enterprise, but
Well, I didn't want to see him in Voyager, but we got that.
well, I hear there are good episodes with him in Voyager, but I don't.
I've never seen one.
Oh, there was the one with that other Q. That
The girl?
no, it was the guy.
The other guy.
Yeah, I just didn't like the portrayal of the
Wasn't it
Q
Quinn?
continuum. But otherwise, it was a good episode.
Wasn't it Quinn?
Yeah, Quinn. Yep.
See, I think it was too predictable, but I think it would have been cool in the last episode of Deep Space Nine
Mm-hmm.
that Q has something to do with the what do you call it?
The prophets.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, if they're spiritual, he exists on the same plane as they do.
I don't know. I mean,
I'd like to see an ending to that. That's a miniseries I'd like to see.
actually, it was something that we brought up. I brought it up in one of our recent episodes. But, you know the Prelude to Axanar?
Yeah.
So it was kind of a History Channel documentary type of deal, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do that for Deep Space Nine to recount the Dominion War? Have a retrospective, have the characters as they, the actors as they are now, looking back 20 years ago at, the war.
Dominion War. Well, I don't know how you would bring back Cisco on that, but
Well, you don't need to.
yeah, you don't need to, but it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because that whole ending, there was that whole open door of the baseball still on the desk.
Yeah, well. But we have Jake Sisko, we have Kira, we have Bashir, we have a Dax somewhere.
Dax. Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be that Dax. It could be anyone that's a new Dax. Who else do we have? Rom is the Nagus.
Is he?
Yeah, he became Nagus.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. I think that would be awesome to kind of wrap up Deep Space Nine.
See, the only way I can see wrapping up Deep Space Nine is Cisco.
I don't know how they could.
Well, remember this. Cisco is just in the spiritual ones,
Mm-hmm.
correct? Because they found out his mother was one of them. That means he's one of them.
Right.
Which means He has the power to go back and forth.
Well, I don't know about that.
I would hope you would.
Well, I
They
mean,
get themselves-
they never show that, really. I mean, there's one
They did it with the pirates, so why couldn't they do it with the...
Back in Time?
No, I'm not talking about back in time.
What are you talking about?
Him just coming back.
Oh, him just coming
Not
back.
that he disappeared.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't somewhere else. He was in, like, spiritual land.
Right. Well, he could travel through time.
Wasn't he dead, too?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched the last episode of Deep Space Nine, unfortunately. But there was an orb. There was a time orb that was used in one episode, at least, to travel through time or something.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, you're right. It would be cool just to see a retrospect, because that was... The Dominion War was the coolest part of the whole show.
Yeah.
It lasted for, 2 years on the show? Off and on, 2 years. And most of the second year, the second part of the second year, was... Every episode was, like, chronological. You know, every one of them was, like, a to-be continued.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to see a new version of the Defiant.
A new Defiant?
They don't have a reason for it anymore, though. Originally, it was to fight the Borg.
Well, I mean, the Borg threat could still exist. They could always be something worse than the Borg right around the corner. Well, we saw the Defiant didn't really put up too much of a fight against
No,
against the Borg, so...
it wasn't what they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, maybe they needed more of them.
I mean, it was retrofitted for a lot of other things.
Right.
Still like the design, though.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting little ship.
I just didn't like the cartoon symbol they made for it on the side.
Well, that wasn't put on the ship.
No, but you saw it's supposed to be the class patch.
Yeah, yeah. That was in your technical manual, right? The Deep Space Nine technical manual?
Yeah. I've got all my manuals still. I love that stuff. I look through it from time to time.
Well, some of the designs for the Defiant were interesting. It even had one had a reddish color, kind of like a hot rod.
Yeah.
So interesting designs. I think the design that they chose was the most conventional.
And it was also different.
It was different, yeah. It was different enough.
Yeah. It still had a saucer section, technically.
Right, it was a saucer.
Just an elongated back, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so on that note, we're going to close the hatch, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. So, Marty, if we wanted to find you on the internet, where would we go to do so?
To find me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, my Twitter is, believe it or not, it's Candidate Martin.
Yes, I know. You know, I do a Fall Friday every Friday, and I tweet that out.
Candidate Martin.
So you can find Marty on Twitter at Candidate Marty.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Nova Charter, and you can also find me on Star Trek Ryza at Nova Charter.
Star Trek Ryza? Are you Ryza?
The Star Trek social media site, which it's good times over there. I highly recommend it.
Well, if it's Ryza, it's got to be two good times.
Indeed. So thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Starfleet Escape Podcast on the Four-Eyed Radio Network, where you can catch a new episode every other Monday. You can find us on the web at sfescapepod.com. Follow us on Twitter at sfescapepod. Like us on Facebook.com/sfescapepod. And add us to your circle on Google Plus by going to google.sfescapepod.com.
This has been another proud production of the Four-Eyed Radio Network. You want to see more shows, go check out www.foureyedradio.com, you winkers.